Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is the first episode in the carbon cycle and energy security revision unit over here on my channel. Today we're going to be looking at 2015, the year it all changed. As I said, this is the first in the series, so subscribe down below. I'll be uploading one of these every single week, Monday at 4:30 p.m. I'm going through the whole geography A-level specification. If you're looking for any other units, go ahead, have a look on the playlist section of my channel. They may be there, and if they're not, let me know in the comments down below, and that might be the next series we do. So without further ado, let's just get straight on into this video. The essence of conflict. During 2007 to 2008, the world was in the grip of a global financial crisis. The banking crisis led to a drop in consumer demand, which in the short term caused a sharp fall in energy prices and therefore lower costs for industry. For a brief time before instability due to the Arab Spring and Libyan crisis brought shortages and price rises, consumer spending increased and energy consumption rose. The world had been saved. Or had it? In December 2015, in response to concerns expressed in news headlines, countries adopted the first legally binding climate deal in the Paris Climate Conference, the COP21. Governments agreed to a long-term goal of keeping the increase of a global temperature to well below 2 degrees above pre-industrial levels. This goal will require serious reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, no small aim, given the world's reliance on fossil fuels. However, there has not really been a slowdown in overall fossil fuel consumption. In 2015, the world consumed over 11 billion tonnes. The carbon found in fossil fuels comes from organic matter. Although they took millions of years to form, burning them takes just seconds. In doing so, carbon is released as carbon dioxide, which is the main driver of obvious climate change. 2015 began a year of global record average temperatures. By 2016, the longest hot spell in 137 years had occurred, 0.9 degrees hotter than the average for the 20th century. Every major climate scientist connects the rise in global temperatures to CO2 emissions. How can they be stopped from rising further? Giving up fossil fuels, the case of India. For some countries, abandoning fossil fuels could threaten their economic development. India, for example, depends on coal for 66% of its energy needs. Just one day after the 2015 Paris Climate Conference agreed to reduce the global CO2 emissions, India agreed that it intended to double its coal output by 2020. India accounts for 6% of the global CO2 emission. It's the third largest emitter after China and the USA, and it wants to reduce its dependence on imported fuels such as oil and gas, which means more use of domestic coal. New infrastructure, an expanding middle class and 600 million new users of electricity are driving India's development and demand of coal. But as it comes, child labour in India's coal mines helps to keep the cost of coal low and promote economic growth, but it also causes suffering and takes children out of education. Why do oil prices fluctuate? The fluctuating price of oil tends to reflect political and economic factors, but particularly market demand. In the past, if demand suddenly rose, the OPEC producers tended to increase oil production in order to prevent a sharp rise in price or reduce production to maintain the price if demand fell. However, fracking has changed the picture. The world's largest oil market is the USA, which drives much of what happens to the oil price. US oil prices have fallen sharply since 2012 as a result of large new suppliers of oil and shale gas from the USA and Canada. OPEC producers have often cut prices to compete and maintain market share, and also geopolitical motives. The USA became energy secure in oil and gas in 2015, a marked change from its dependence on imported oil and gas in 2000. New Canadian sources come from tar sands and fracking. Fracked gas emits less CO2 than coal when used to generate electricity. As a result, between 2008 and 2015, the USA's CO2 emissions fell by 7.7%, even though its economy and oil consumption grew by 9%. And that is the end of the first episode of the series. It was short, but you're going to thank me for that later when they get a little bit longer down the line. So please do subscribe down below, and I will see you next week where we will be looking at the carbon cycle. So see you Monday, 4:30 p.m. Bye guys.